I'm Dr. Allison Johnson, Doctor of Oriental Medicine, here with my friend Jean Collins, who promotes young living and a healthy lifestyle. Welcome to our talk on how to detox the skin from the inside. And today's not going to be about, detoxing your liver, doing the master cleanse, or anything like that. We're going to talk about some very easy things you can add into your life to just start treating your body better, digesting better, and it will be reflected on your skin. So drinking water is really important, and you've probably heard this throughout your life, and you've probably heard that, drink 8 glasses of water a day. And the thing is that I found in my practice of Chinese medicine over the years working with patients is that people, sometimes they don't like drinking straight water. So there's some things to consider with that. And one of them is, are you drinking tap water? And unless you live on a really nice well in nature, you're not apt to have the best water because you're going to have water that's been treated by the city. So what you can do is use things like Brita filters that go in the pitcher and stuff like that, which is typically a carbon filter. And other than that, you can get a reverse osmosis filter, which you can put under your sink. They're not all that expensive these days. They're pretty easy to install. And what you do want to have with that is something that adds the minerals back into the water, because reverse osmosis will take the minerals out. In any case, maybe that's why you don't like drinking water.
When we are drinking our water, so this is something that we should hopefully be drinking water every day, we could add items like Digize, or I really like peppermint, but do remember that 1 drop of peppermint is equal to 28 cups of peppermint tea, just to help with detoxing and cleansing the skin. That's a quick tip that you can easily add into your life.
If you're just considering, like, maybe I'm not drinking enough water, what is enough water? What you can do is you can take your weight in pounds and divide by 2, and that's how much water you should be drinking in ounces a day. So say I weigh 120 pounds. That's an easy one to divide by 2, then that means 60 ounces of water a day. If you divide that by 8, like a typical 8-ounce cup of water, then you can figure out that that's about 7 to 8 cups of water a day. So that is a good thing to go by in terms of how much water you should have, just kind of to help your organs function and to help move things through your system properly. Water is very important. I've come across people who don't even drink any water. You can get some water from your diet, but you do need to drink water on top of that. And Chinese medicine wise, we don't ever add ice to water. We always drink water at room temperature, because the cold water is a little bit more of a shock for your organs to take.
One of the reasons to add something like peppermint to your water, because peppermint's really cooling, adding that to your water, then you'll be helping cool down your body, but without the added ice. Because I do agree that I usually drink water with no ice.
I'd like to talk about keeping your gut bacteria happy. Now, this is probably something you've also heard of on the media, and thankfully it's out there more in the world today. And people like our grandparents didn't have to worry about this as much, because they weren't living in a world where we were sanitizing everything, so there was no bacteria anywhere. They were, rinsing off vegetables from their garden. They still got some soil microbes in there. They weren't washing their hands as much. And it's not to say that those things are not good. It's just in the modern day we're wiping out a lot of bacteria that otherwise would have been getting into us somehow. And we are mostly bacteria if you look at the trillions of human cells. And so what we need to do is to cultivate good bacteria in our guts. One thing we can add to our diet every day is to try to eat some fermented kinds of foods. And so often you'll see on a product such as kombucha or sauerkraut, or even pickled things and yogurt, what you want to look for is things like raw and active cultures. Even apple cider vinegar, you want to look for raw with the mother. So this raw idea is that it hasn't been heated to the extent that it's going to kill off microorganisms. Instead, it's going to maintain those microorganisms so that you can benefit from them, and it will help your gut by helping cultivate those particular organisms. And you're like cultivating this multifaceted garden of like all these different organisms that are helping you have great digestion, not have bloating, have good bowel movements, have nice radiant skin, and they're digesting our vitamins and also doing things like that. So I want to talk about kombucha. You may or may not like kombucha or the kind of kombucha you've had to this point. But Jean and I both grow the kombucha SCOBY and make kombucha tea at home. It's really, really easy. And you can follow the link below as to how to do that yourself if you'd like. And basically it's called SCOBY, which is symbiotic culture bacteria and yeast. And scientists don't know really what it is other than that's what they've called it. And it's this awesome collection of a bunch of microbes that feed on sugar and tea, like from the tea plant, like that's originated in China. Over time, these organisms eat up the sugar and they create this fermented tea, which you can see in Russian culture and different Asian cultures that has been touted as this great health benefit, anti-disease kind of substance. And you can make it at home, which is the cheapest and easiest way to do it. And you can also add things to the kombucha after you've basically harvested it. So you've tasted it and it's at a nice taste level to you. It's going to be more sour than sweet, and it might even have a little bubbliness to it. And then you can pour yourself a glass of that, and then you can add juice to it, or you can add essential oils. And Jean was going to add some things about that.
So I love adding different things to my kombucha. It's definitely more sour. So we're like, all right, well, let's either add the flavor to change it, orange juice, or sometimes even like the lemonade with the kombucha. And then you can add like Ningxia Red or even sparkling water. And then like citrus fresh or grapefruit vitality or lemon vitality. So those are just different options to add, and like we like different flavors. It is really great for your gut health, and your gut health is super important. And yes, I agree. The microbiome and having those good cultures is very important. And you guys can easily look up microbiome and understand that we are mostly microbes and bacteria. We should have that good bacteria, that good health, and really understanding the products that we're using, because we are kind of talking about the skin and what happens with acne and how that can get created kind of in any age. That can be created from poor diet. So that's why, again, the fermentation and those items like sauerkraut or kombucha are very important. But it can also be created from hormonal imbalances, which again, you can use essential oils for, or the products that you're using to clean, or the products you're putting on your skin. Like some of the makeup and the skincare products people are using, it's not really helping the skin, it's more hurting it. So just so you guys know, those are some ideas. And we also have Life 9. I forgot to grab it. It's in the fridge. That's another reason why I also have a sticky note, because I don't see it. So I have a sticky note, so it helps me to realize, oh, I have to take my Life 9. But it's great probiotics, and it's 9 different strains of probiotics.
And probiotics are really important because again, we live in a culture where we're really sanitizing everything. We don't have a lot of good bacteria, and we need to promote those happy bacteria in our gut. If we don't promote the ones that are health promoting, which is what are in probiotics, then the ones that are disease causing will tend to like kind of take over. So they can be kind of latent in our body, these staphylococcus kind of bacteria or candida yeast, and they're just hanging out in there, and they're waiting for those good guys to kind of put down their weapons so that they can proliferate in the system. And if those good guys are putting down their weapons or being less and less in number, then those other ones are going to start to grow because they're not being checked. And those are actually disease causing microorganisms. So what we can do proactively is to eat more probiotic enhanced foods, which are like fermented or live foods, and take probiotics. In the modern day, we really do need to take them in addition to what we get in our diet. What I wanted to mention for essential oils, using Daiji's essential oil, which is in the Vitality line here of Young Living, means you can take it internally. This one is a really great one for digestion. It comes in the premium starter kit, which you likely already have, and maybe you haven't figured out how to use this essential oil yet. This is what it's for. Really good for moving food through the digestive tract and just supporting overall great digestion, which is key.
Digest isn't my favorite. I usually put like a shot glass of either almond milk or that Ningxia Red, because fennel and ginger and things like that, just, it's not really my flavor profile. I like more of the citrus oils, but it is, let me tell you, if I have a stomach issue or I'm noticing something and I'm trying to move it through, you best believe Digest is my first thing, or peppermint. But if Digest, or sometimes I'll use both because I'm just like in that much like, oh my God, what's happening? Like I can't, yeah, I gotta get this out.
And the Digest, like Jean was saying, you can either put it straight in water, which I like personally, but it does have things like, it has ginger, peppermint, fennel, anise, and which is kind of a licorice type flavor, as is fennel, and patchouli in it. And so it does have a kind of a little more earthy, a little bit spicy kind of flavor. And it does pair very well with the almond milk or something like that if you don't want to take it in water. In Chinese medicine, those herbs are all very good for your digestive health overall. They're just going to promote easy, great digestion. How many times have we found ourselves going, oh, my stomach doesn't feel so good, I ate too much, or oh, that food doesn't really agree with me, or feeling bloated after meals, or feeling like you have acid regurgitation, or just feeling really stuck. That's the first part of your digestion, is when it's getting in your stomach, the food and the water, the food and the drinks. So you really want to help it there by taking something like the Digest on a daily basis to help it start its way down your digestive tract in a healthy way.
And the other thing we're wanting to mention is how to support the colon, right? And did you want to start with that?
Sure. So the next part of the digestive tract is going to be your colon for the most part. I mean, the food's going to go from your stomach down through your small intestine, where a lot of the vitamins are going to be absorbed. And then it's going to go into your colon and still be extracting some the waste products, basically from your what you've taken in. And part of supporting the movement through the colon is fiber. Both soluble and insoluble fiber. And again, most people don't get enough of this in their diet, and so it's no problem. You can add it. We've got a lot of great modern products that you can use to add that fiber. When you add fiber like a supplement to your diet, you absolutely need to drink water with it. Any of you who've taken something like psyllium husk, they always advise you have to take a lot of water with it, because it basically absorbs the water, and then it provides this bulk to move through your digestive tract. So that's very important. And what fiber does also is it provides what's called a prebiotic quality. So it's something that the probiotics like to eat as their food. They won't just eat anything. They're very adaptable, but you need to give them some good food to eat. And this is part of a way to do it. And then they grow stronger and healthier in your gut.
Few options from the world of Young Living and how to really help get those fibers and just help make sure that your gut health and your gut is moving through and that you are producing enough bowel movements. A lot of the time that is what the issue is. Actually, I just remembered a story from Gary Young. This woman had brought her child, and her child kept having these lesions on the skin. And the doctors couldn't tell her what was wrong and anything. And he just asked, well, when was the last time the baby had a bowel movement? 2 weeks. No wonder why it had lesions all over the skin. And like, that's not healthy, especially for babies. And babies are actually the best way of like showing a bowel movement. Usually they eat, and then like within 30 minutes, it's released. And that just shows where our digestive system should be, at least 2 bowel movements a day. So if you're not experiencing that, the cleansing trio is one of the great ways of doing that. And the cleansing trio is made up of Comfort Tone, Essential Zyme, and then ICP. And ICP is one of one of the products that has the fibers, the insoluble and soluble fibers, and you just mix 2 teaspoons, rounded teaspoons with it. I did tablespoons the first time, and luckily I was good, but like 3 or 4 days later, I was like, whoa, that's a lot. What happened there? I was like, but even the next day I realized, I was like, oh, teaspoons, not tablespoons. You can either do it in juice or water. I usually just do water. The other thing with ICP, you have to make sure that you drink it like right away, because if you don't drink it right away, it'll just keep getting thicker, and then you either have to use a spoon or start over. ICP is awesome, and that's more to help get that colon and that stuff moving out of the system. And like I said, it has those fibers to be the prebiotic, right? And then Comfort Tone. Comfort Tone is awesome. Again, it's another colon focused product, because we definitely want to cleanse the colon first before the liver. Comfort Tone and ICP, again, clearing the colon. Now, Essential Sign, this one is you take it once with your largest meal, before your largest meal. But honestly, just take it. If you've already eaten, just get it in your system. It's going to help. It has peppermint as the coated bio layer caplet, but it's a multi-enzyme blend, and enzymes are just great to help with digestion because of the way our food system is. And that's why also gardening is good, and just getting doing the best to do local, because that's going to help as well. But basically, an enzyme is helping break down the food to extract the nutrients. So enzymes are important. We have different ones, but we're just going to focus on the cleansing trio. If you do have any questions on the other enzymes, feel free to ask either Allison or myself, and we'd be happy to connect with you, because our information is below and also at the end.
That trio that Young Living has created is really important for all the steps of digestion. So the enzymes to help in the stomach and small intestine, and then all the bulking agent, the fibers to help move through the colon and help sweep away debris and toxins, and also the Cascara sagrada, which is in the other product, in order to help just keep purging the colon out. So what we're doing in this talk is we're going to talk about really how to optimize your digestive system as a means of detox, because then you're moving things through, you're extracting the proper nutrients from your food. And then in the next talk, we'll talk about then how to detoxify your liver. And the thing about this is you're really setting yourself up for success. If you cleanse out the digestive tract and get it flowing properly, and then detoxify the liver in order to help detoxify the blood and help the skin even more, you're going to have much less side effects of detox, which perhaps you have had or have heard people have had in the past when they go directly toward detoxifying the liver. The problem there is that when they try to detoxify the liver before they detoxify and help the GI tract work better, is that the toxins have nowhere to go. And especially if they're getting stuck in a stuck colon, then basically what happens, like with this baby Jean mentioned, is the toxins stay in the colon if there's no bowel movement, and then they start to get reabsorbed back into the body. And then that's just a fruitless attempt of detoxifying. And then sometimes people will have symptoms as those things retoxify the body, basically. So make sure you follow the steps of what we're doing now. We're cleansing and optimizing the digestive system, and then we can go on and cleanse the liver and have a really optimal effect. Basically, helping the skin from the inside out is reducing stress in your life. So there's a quality of eustress, right? Things that basically are a challenge for us, that life challenges us, and then we respond. And hopefully we respond better and better with the tools that we have. And then there's this concept of stress or strain, where the person feels overwhelmed by those challenges of life and they don't know how to respond. And so it creates this kind of tension, built up, constant kind of static and tension in the person's life. And they not only experience it psychologically with their emotions and their thoughts, but also the body is taking a huge hit for this stress. And it's in what we call fight or flight constantly. Whereas in the past, in our time as hunters and gatherers, for instance, that fight or flight response is like, oh my gosh, there's a tiger, I need to run. And that was a very short period of time. where that got mobilized in order to help that person run. And what it does is it shuts down the digestive system. It shuts down the things that that person doesn't need in order to run. So what they need in order to run is to be instantly alert, adrenals amped up, and blood to the muscles and run. And if we have that thing going on constantly in our body, it actually is a highly inflammatory process. And it's like the body's constantly on. And it's very damaging to our organs and our system, and not only to our emotions and our thoughts as well. So what we need to do is figure out ways that we can actually reduce stress and actually get in it and do it. So I think we have this idea, this meme in culture, which is, oh yeah, we've got to reduce stress. But if we're doing yoga and at the same time all those stressful thoughts are still running through our mind and our body's still amped up, then it's not helping. So what are some things we can do? What things create stress? So there can be psychological stressors. So that's often self-induced by the way that we approach the world. And we could have some different tools to work with that. You can follow me on Immortal Beauty YouTube and Facebook if you'd like some ideas about how to work with that. There's environmental stressors, which are things like chemicals in the water, in the soil, in our cleaning products, all these kinds of things, stuff moving through the air. And sleep deprivation is a really big one. So that's something, you know, we can have more dramatic effect at right now.
There's at least 3 or 4 points that you just mentioned where essential oils and essential oil infused products can really help reduce those stresses, either by what you like the cleaning items. Thieves Household Cleaner cleans everything. Or, I mean, in your premium starter kit that you already have, or if not, you're getting today, right? And we're going to have stuff like, I mean, Stress Away, that blend is there, but there's other oils, and then using even the Digest and the peppermint to help cleanse the gut and the colon, and to make sure that your elimination, the proper way of elimination is working. So therefore you don't have pimples or zits pop up because your digestive system is working. So that, I mean, because remember, there's also points on your face that will point to certain organs with reflexology, especially in Chinese medicine. That awesome chart.
Absolutely. Yes, so I wanted to go over things that we could do to reduce stress and to help our sleep. The sleep part is really important. So essential oils are incredibly helpful. We've talked about some in the past to calm down that kind of stress response. Things like frankincense, sandalwood, lavender, rose, etc. There's so many, you can't even list how many there are to do that. So one could use those to help reduce the stress and help sleep better and get kind of calmed down for the evening. Also having device off time. So maybe there's even a day, imagine that you don't get on your devices at all, right? What does that feel like? So those of us who grew up before cell phones, that was a different life, right? With a landline where you waited until you got home to check your messages, and you weren't at everyone's beck and call, or you couldn't look something up on your cell phone every second. It's a wonderful thing. And on the other hand, it can be very distracting. And what people are plugging into via that are things that are often stress promoting, basically things that the news would promote, or that you're seeing people arguing on Facebook or other things like that, or posting nasty things to you. And it just gets people really riled up. So it's good to take some device off time.
When you were mentioning about the different triggers of getting notifications, and maybe you should also turn off those notifications, or even have your cell phone ringer off, because that does produce that flight or fight response. And if you're also realizing that you are in times of like, you're like, dude, why haven't I gotten any projects done? Look back and see how many times you were distracted, and maybe figure out a time in your day when you do have your cell phone ringer off. Maybe it's from 10 to 4 or 11 to 4. I don't know, whatever is best for you. So yeah, those are just some ideas with like technology and making sure that that you're creating the environment, and also just times away are great too, but like for a whole day. But if for whatever reason you think, wow, that's a lot, then maybe try some of those other things. Turn off the notifications. Put the phone on silent for hours at a time during the day.
Another great thing to do is we're going to talk about how you can take relaxing baths with essential oils and Epsom salts, and then also doing some self-massage with that. So let me just talk a little bit about the self-massage. So in Chinese medicine, there are different acupressure points. In Chinese medicine, we use them as acupuncture, but it doesn't matter. You can just press on the points and get help with them. So the two oils that I want to recommend today is the Daiji's, which we took internally. You can also use this one externally. And then ginger, which we're going to use externally. So maybe you're taking, 3 drops of each one. You can do it straight on your skin, or you can put a slight carrier oil on it to help. And what you can do is basically you just put them in your hand. Maybe you put them with the carrier oil, and then just rub them, over your belly, over this whole area of the belly. Okay. And then once you've got that going on, then let's look at some specific points. So this is your rib cage up here, okay, this triangle here that comes up here. So your ribs come up to this kind of point right here, okay, where it forms this kind of tent shape up in here. So we want to find where that point is, and we want to find our belly button. And then halfway between those two things is a special point for your stomach, and it may be a little bit tender. And so I like to use my middle finger to kind of massage because I can get a little more pressure going that way, but you do whatever works for you. If it's so tender, maybe you use like 3 fingers and you go pretty light, and you just start to stimulate that. You can go clockwise or counterclockwise, whatever works well for you. And so that point is right there. And then the other points are going to be to the sides of the belly button. And so the way that you're going to find that is find your belly button, and then you're going to come out there's going to be what's called the rectus abdominis on the side here. So if you come from the side of your abdomen into the rectus abdominis is the one where you see the 6-pack right here. It's a very large area. So you come from the side and you feel where its edge is. And then there's your belly button, and then you go halfway. And that's this point that we're looking at here. Otherwise, you can find your belly button and go 3 of your fingers out to the side. And these points are on the 2 sides. And these ones are for the large intestine specifically. And so those will help optimize digestion and move the bowel movement. You can massage them anytime you want to, especially if they're tender. They need to be massaged. And look at how your digestion changes, especially if you're going to use the essential oils locally on that area as well. It's going to be so helpful. Jean, you have some tips about using Epsom salts and essential oils.
Yes, I do. I do have some tips. With the essential oils and the Epsom salt bath, it's just adding some Epsom salt and empty essential oil bottles. So when you're picking out your empty essential oil bottles, you want to make sure that there are some ideas of, obviously I will add more Epsom salt, but making sure that those essential oil empty bottles are not all hot oils, like oregano, thyme, peppermint, cinnamon, ginger. All of those are hot oils.
I was having some gastrointestinal issues when I was in China, and I had some oregano essential oil with me, and I was like, oh, I'm just going to put this on my stomach. Oh my goodness. Yes, it's very stimulating. Even though I put it in carrier oil, I use too much. So it can be very spicy to the skin, although very helpful. And so things like those kind of essential oils, or things like peppermint too. So if you think of menthol, that's in a lot of like body rubs, Bengay, that kind of stuff, it has that burny kind of effect, or cayenne pepper has that same effect. And it's good for sore muscles, but when you're going to submerge yourself in a bath, your mucous membranes are going to be exposed to these essential oils. And so you just want to make sure there's not too many of them in there.
And what they do is they mess with the just your skin in general. So what I do is I'll take an empty bottle, and I'll make sure that let's see if you can see that. That clear orifice is out. Yeah, you can kind of see that clear orifice. And I'll just take all 3 of these parts with, you know, the label and everything, and I'll throw them in the bottle. And then I'll add a little bit more Epsom salt. And right now that was Stress Away. So that was an old bottle of Stress Away. But what's happening is like, I can still smell this. Now there's no drops. There's nothing coming out because it's technically, it's empty, right? But it's really not, because there's still stuff on the side of the bottle. So one of the ways, there's a few different ways that people have figured out to get that last bit out, is taking the empty bottles, putting it in. And I picked 4 bottles for this one. I did Valor and Stress Away, which are in your premium starter kit. Those are just items to just help you reduce stress. All of those are stress reducing essential oils, but really most essential oils have more than one use. So you can really use anything you choose. But remember, the thing to remember is if for whatever reason you do have a whole bunch of hot oils, then you want to add a drop of lavender. Add a drop of lavender, add some geranium, some ylang-ylang. And mostly the flower oils aren't hot or spicy. They just are stronger in their scents.
One thing I just want to mention, I also have Dr. Teal's, and I get them at Costco because there's 2 of them for like $7 or something, and they're these nice big bags. And most Epsom salt things will tell you, oh, put 2 cups into your bath. I would recommend putting about half a bag myself.
Yeah.
The magnesium is something that we really are deficient in our modern life. And through the skin is actually a really great way to absorb magnesium, and instead of through the gut, which we can do too. But through the skin is really easy. And the Epsom salt, the magnesium sulfate, is super relaxing to the muscles. It's so nice at the end of the day. And it really just helps decompress you in order to help wash off the day and go to sleep.
Yeah, I had to do that yesterday with planting all the plants in the new greenhouse. And just I got it all done, but I was like, I need a bath. And so I used my little Epsom salts and essential oil bottles. And these bottles are fine to be in there. I usually just put them in once the water is full, and then you can just throw some water on you. But it's great. It's an awesome way to just relax and help with those soothing those muscles from a hard day's work. So yeah. So now that you have found out some great tips on helping to make sure that the colon is really in the right elimination process to get that all of those toxins out and really absorb the right nutrients so that our skin can stay clear. Remember, we were talking about using oils from the premium starter kit, which you probably already have, but if not, you can use the links below to get your premium starter kit today. And it's great to also know that there are some supplements, and those supplements are infused with essential oils. And when they're infused with those essential oils, because essential oils help on a cellular level, they help get those nutrients into our system quicker, which is why I love the Young Living supplements. I'm getting all the nutrients from the supplement. It's really absorbing into my body, and it's absorbing at a great level. So I also love the cleansing trio. I've been doing the cleansing trio, and I found that I have more energy, more focus. And I've found that sometimes, and with releasing those toxins, you just help uplift your body more. I'm looking forward to helping you, and I know Allison is too. We're both looking forward to helping you on your Young Living journey. And make sure you add those supplements or some of these essential oils to your Essential Rewards order. And let's have a conversation. Have a beautiful day.
Wonderful. Thanks, Jean. And you can follow me on Immortal Beauty, either on Facebook or on YouTube, for more tips on staying vital and beautiful and radiant longer and longer. You can start at any age. So great to see you guys today. Let us know if you have any questions. Our information is going to be right after this on the slide. And then you can also look below for links.
You can find me on my YouTube channel, Jean Collins. And I look forward to connecting with you on Instagram, Facebook, and all those beautiful things. Have a great one. Bye-bye.